Hello, everyone. I am currently visiting family in Florida, and I'm going to read through the most recent order in case IPC-E-23-14. Case 2314 from the Idaho Public Utility Commission is the case to establish an export credit rate, meaning they're going to change how net metering works for anyone who puts power onto the grid. I'm going to go through the document right now. Just go to puc.idaho.gov. And I'm going to see if I can figure out how to share my screen. Apologies. I just wanted to do this quickly. It's New Year's Day. They issued this order the day before the New Year's weekend on the 29th of December, the last possible day before a holiday weekend. Why do they do that? You form your own opinions, but I think it could possibly be due to the fact that they don't want anyone to read it. They don't want anyone to know what's in it. They want you to ignore it, not see it. So I was at the case hearing for this and commented. And again, in all these cases, it's pretty well universal that folks don't want them to change net metering. They want to leave it to a one-to-one credit, meaning for every kilowatt hour that you push onto the grid with most commonly solar power, you get a kilowatt hour credit. And that applies to your bill depending on no matter when you use power. So now they're going to change it to a much more complex system, and we're going to see exactly what's in the document. So I can't see an easy way to share the document, so I'm live right now. I have the case pulled up. You go to puc.idaho.gov. You can follow along at home, and you click on or search cases, and case 23-14, 23-14, IPCE 2314. The long name, Idaho Power Company, application for authority to implement changes to the compensation structure applicable to customer on-site generation under Schedule 6, 8, and 84, and to establish an export credit rate. That export credit rate is what means they're changing that metering. So the case started in March 1st, 2023. And final order number 36048. So we're just going to click on that, the PDF for the Idaho Public Utilities Commission on May 1st. Oh, excuse me, not March, May 1st. Misspoke. 5, March is 3, May is 5. Filed an application, issued an application. So it gives you the history in the first few paragraphs. We'll skip that. The application, the company requested the commission authorize real-time net billing with an avoided cost-based financial credit for export credit rate energy for exported energy. Real-time net billing would mean that instead of being able to credit on a monthly basis, so how much power you use, that's how you're billed now. If you're a normal customer, no solar, you tally up how much power you use all month, and you get billed based on the number of kilowatt hours. There's different rates based on how much you use. In Idaho, it's a tiered billing system. Tier 1 is the cheapest. If you use under 800 kilowatt hours total for the month, you pay a lower rate than if you use more than that. And then if you use more than, I believe, 1,200 kilowatt hours per month, you pay even more. But it doesn't matter what time of day you use it. So now, just for the solar customers, they're asking for real-time net billing, meaning that power at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. and midnight, if you push power to the grid, it's worth a different rate in each minute of the day. And 2, going back to reading, a methodology for determining annual updates to the export credit rate, ECR. So they want to update this every year. And my guess is they're going to try to update it to make it worse for the consumer who owns solar. 3, a modified project eligibility cap for commercial, industrial, and irrigation CI&I customers. 4, and that just means the large scale industrial, there's an eligibility cap of 100 kilowatts of solar. So for example, I worked with a local car wash company, and we built out a system that was 100 kilowatts because per meter for the commercial meter on that property for the car wash, the cap for commercial meters is 100 kilowatts. And that was about 20% of their total energy use. So they needed 500 kilowatts, but they can't put in 500 kilowatts of solar because there's a cap from Idaho Power that's over 20 years old. There's also a cap for residential of 25 kilowatts, but most homes use much less solar than that, so they don't really want to change that cap. They don't really need to, but they are looking to change the commercial, industrial, and irrigation customer cap. 4, related changes to the accounting for and transferability of excess net energy financial credits. So they want to change how you're able to transfer and get credit for extra net meter credit that you build up. So if you have, if you're making more power in 1 month than you need, they want to change the way you can account for and transfer that. That's a complicated system in itself. So this case is really complicated. We're only into the bullet point number 4. Number 5, updated tariff schedules necessary to administer the modified on-site generation offering. So they want to change all the rate schedules for on-site generation. The company requested a January 1st, 2024 effective date. That's today. So we'll see if in this order issued just a few days ago, that's the order date. The company represented that its recommendations are guided by the following objectives. 1, recommend a compensation structure that will accurately measure a customer generator's use of the system, both in recording exported energy and usage. 2, apply methods that will result in a fair and accurate valuation of customers' exported energy. 3, implement a repeatable method for updating the ECR, export credit rate, that will ensure timely recognition of changing conditions on the company's system and the broader power markets, which may warrant changes to the ECR. 4, balance accuracy with customer understandability. And that's been a real challenge in these cases. Again, not reading anymore. In previous cases from years back, the Public Utility Commission said that it was overly complex. And even in this case, most customers haven't been able to keep up with why they want to change all of these things all at once instead of making it a more simple solution to changing the program slowly. And that's application, going back to reading, application at 15-16. The company represented that the proposed changes to the on-site generation service offerings would only apply to non-legacy customers. So in 2019, if you had your net metering application in before December 20th, 2019, you were a legacy customer, meaning you were grandfathered in essentially to the 1-to-1 net metering rate for, I believe, the next 20 years. And then everyone who had their net metering application in essentially after 2019. So in 2020, if you went solar in 2021, 22, the past 3-4 years, you are not grandfathered in. So going back to reading, to the on-site service offerings would only apply to non-legacy customers taking service under Schedules 6, 8, and 84. So when you go solar, you change from Schedule 1, the standard residential system for homeowners, to Schedule, I believe, 6. Could be 8, I might be wrong on that, but I believe 8's commercial and 84. Customers with legacy systems would continue to take service under the rules of monthly net energy metering until legacy status terminates, ID at 16. Next paragraph. The company proposed real-time net billing with an avoided cost-based financial credit rate for exported energy. Even I don't know what all that means, but I'll try my best. They avoided cost means the cost that they are not paying to buy that power from elsewhere for the financial credit for exported energy. So when you put power onto the grid, how much is that power worth essentially? Idaho Power is only saying that it's only worth the wholesale rate because they're still paying for everything else, including regulatory capture, including the cost to pay all their salaries, the board of directors, the CEO, and all of the other dividends that the stock pays out to stockholders because it's a publicly traded corporation. Back to reading. The company stated that the customer generator would first consume any of their generation on-site, which is true from solar, and any generation they are not consuming would be metered and exported to the grid at a defined ECR, export credit rate again. The company represented that customers would generate financial credit based on the product of measured exported energy and the ECR that could be monetized to offset current or future charges associated with utility provided service. So essentially saying you're offsetting future bills by exporting power today. So if it's really sunny today, I could export a lot of power from my solar and use power at night and not be billed for it. I've offset that bill. The company proposed a seasonal and time variant ECR to compensate for energy and other elements associated with avoided capacity, line losses, and integration costs. Essentially, they're saying that there are peak times when power is worth more than the standard 1-to-1 net metering rate, specifically in summertime in Idaho during peak season. When everyone's got their air conditioner on and it's hot, instead of relying on all of the hydro and everything to run everyone's air conditioners, solar would be a great asset because it's making more power during the summertime when it's hot because the sun's out for a lot. And so that power would be worth more, but the rate of how much more is what's being determined, hopefully in this case. And then all the rest of the year, the other 9 months out of the year, and the rest of the hours around the clock that are off peak are going to be a much lower rate. Essentially, what they proposed was half. An average kilowatt hour is about 10 cents a kilowatt hour. So if you use 1,000 kilowatt hours in a month, your bill is going to be about $50 plus all the fees. Back to reading. The company also sought a change in how the product eligibility cap was defined for Schedule 84 customers. The company proposed that the Schedule 84 or commercial project eligibility cap be set at a greater of 100 kilowatts or 100% of demand at the service point for CI&I customers at 20-21. The company represented that the purpose of administering the cap, the company proposed using the maximum billing demand from the last 12 months, measured when the customer generation application was submitted. The company stated that for irrigation customers without a full in-season billing history, a conversion factor related to the horsepower of the customer's pumps at the service point would determine the maximum demand. The company represented that for customers with non-legacy systems, the company would treat export credit rate expenditures as a net power supply expense, NPSE, subject to 100% recovery through the company's power cost adjustment, PCA. The company proposed that financial credits may offset all billing components of the bill, not just the energy-related portion of a customer bill. Essentially saying that the exported credit and the monetary value of that credit could go against your whole bill, which is great. That's the way it's worked for a long time. The company represented that customers with non-legacy systems over the last 4 years would be able to transfer financial credits to another account held in their name for their own usage, which will be administered similar to the company's current NEM service offering for customers transferring kilowatt-hour credits. However, the company did not propose to change the transferability of kilowatt-hour credits for legacy customers. So essentially, what they're saying is, hey, we're going to allow you to transfer. If you own two houses, you have a rental house, and your house has solar, but the rental house doesn't, you could have credits build up on your house and transfer them to offset the bill for your other house. Problem is, they're changing the value of those credits, so you're likely to not have extra credit since they're changing the value to roughly half, from 10 cents a kilowatt hour to 4 or 5. The company proposed that accumulated kilowatt-hour credits held at service points with non-legacy systems would be converted to financial credits 1 year after the effective date of a commission-authorized change in compensation structure. We're on page 3 now. Public comments. Comments. As of December 13th, 2023, 846 public comments have been filed in this case. Of those comments, there were 127 customers who signed a single petition asking the commission to support solar power, keep the program as it currently exists, and to grant customer generators grandfathering. This petition was recorded as a single customer comment and is not reflected in the breakdown of customer comments below. Aside from that petition, there have been 719 customer comments representing individuals and interested parties in Idaho and out of state, including customers of the company, other utilities, nonprofit organizations, and businesses within the solar power industry. I'll take this aside to say, I founded the Solar Owners Network back in 2019 and 20 when that case ended, because I knew this case was coming. So if you own solar and you're mad about this case, please join us at solarownersnetwork.org. That's with an S, Solar Owners, plural, network.org. We're doing a lot of work updating that to help you find reputable installers, people to potentially add batteries so you can have your system off grid if you like, and to also help you find service if your, after this order, installation company who gave you a warranty isn't around anymore or won't answer the phone and you need service. So I'm dedicated to trying to help people get what they're promised with their solar systems. Back to reading. Of the 719 individual comments, 183 customers identified themselves as non-legacy customers, so 25%, while only 49 customers clearly identified themselves, 7%, as legacy customers. Really a silly metric. I saw the lawyer tallying as people were commenting, this data and submitted it from staff comments for the PUC. And it's really kind of pointless. Another 155 customers, 22%, indicated they have a net generation system, but did not identify their status as legacy or non-legacy. Again, doesn't really matter. What really matters is what they said, that they don't want the net metering policy to change. They would like, they believe that it's fair as a one-to-one credit system. But earlier this year in 2023. Now it's 2024. In 2023, last year, California changed their net metering. So I pretty much knew Idaho was going to follow suit, following California's lead. Imagine that. Issues. We're now on page 4. Previous orders. Customers expressed concerns regarding grandfathering with 267 customers, 37%. Again, silly to keep stats of percent about that, stating that all current net generation customers should be granted legacy status. Another 74 customers, 10%, claimed they were not aware of possible changes to the program at the time they had their systems installed. Most of these customers stated they would not have gone forward had they known the rates would change. So those 74 customers, I will say to you, you need to read what you're signing. And this is going to be harsh, but it's the truth. When you sign a contract, you need to read the contract. There is a page that every solar company submitted with your contract called a net metering application. And on there, you initial multiple times to Idaho Power saying you authorize the solar company to do solar. You understand that it's not a contract of net metering. You understand that Idaho Power can change these rates. So you signed it. You agreed to that they would change the rates. There were 98 customers, 14%, who disagreed with the outcome of IPCE 2222, IPC-E-22-22, which was another case, including 52 customers, 7%, who challenged the objectivity of the company's value of distributed energy resources study. So that's the voter study case, VODER, value of distributed energy resources. And 41 customers, 6%, who suggested that the commission failed to consider third-party studies and the concerns of interested parties. So I will say in that case, we were involved through the Solar Owners Network. There was another study, a third-party study done by an outside organization showing that the value of exported credit from solar energy was worth more than the one-to-one net metering case. Basically, here's the summary. If the average cost of a kilowatt hour is 10 cents, Idaho Power says when you push solar power onto the grid, it's worth 5 cents on average. And when you push solar power onto the grid, the third party said it's worth 14 or 15 cents. There were 153 customers, 21%, who urged further consideration of environmental benefits. So that was one of the values that is in question. Still on page 4, structure and compensation. Regarding any change to compensation, 353 customers, 49%, wanted no change to the structure of the program, and 329 customers, 46%, wanted to keep monthly net metering versus real-time metering. Regarding the accrued kilowatt-hour credits accumulated by both legacy and non-legacy customers, 49 customers, 6%, expressed concern about the future value and traceability of accumulated credits and advocated for customer options for the applicability of those credits. Regarding financial credits under the proposed changes, 41 customers, 6%, worried about the accountability of those financial credits and the value of those credits. I was definitely one of those people when I testified saying that you can change this every year and the future value of your export credit rate could be chipped away at by the utility to increase profits of the utility. Next paragraph, 31 customers, 4% offered comments on the export credit rate, with 17 customers, 2%, wanting the ECR tied to retail rates, and 14 customers, 2%, expressing a desire for an unbiased annual review of ECR rates. 104 customers, 14%, offered comments regarding compensation for peak versus non-peak hours, time of day versus peak and non-peak hours, seasonal demand versus customer peak hours, and use of a single rate versus peak and non-peak hours. Customers expressed that compensation for peak hours extends into the evening, even as generation declines, and suggested that compensation for peak hours should start earlier in the day. So that's in response to Idaho Power's initial proposal of peak hours being, I believe, from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. I'm not sure. They said they were going to change that also in this case. They didn't have final timeline. So going on to page 5, incentives. 104 customers said the company needs to provide more incentives to customers to encourage net generation. Party comments. We're going to skip this. You can go through and see all the party comments. There's intervener funding here. Vote Solar requested $8,880 for attorney fees, commission findings, and decision. Still on page 5. This is the important part. The commission has jurisdiction over the company's application and the issues in this case under Title 61 of the Idaho Code, including Idaho Code 61-301 through 303. The commission is empowered to investigate rates, charges, rules, regulations, practices, and contracts of all public utilities and to determine whether they are just, reasonable, preferential, discriminatory, or in violation of any provisions of law, and to fix the same by order. Idaho Code 61-501 through 503. The Commission now considers the company's request to modify the compensation structure for on-site generators under Schedule 6, 8, and 84. The Commission has reviewed the long history of cases dealing with on-site generators, and the Commission recognizes the growing availability and impact that solar self-generation has on electric customers in Idaho. In making its decision in this case, the Commission maintains that the fundamental purpose of on-site generation is to offset a customer's own usage, that on-site generation should not create cost shifting between generators and non-generators, and that on-site generators should be given a fair value for their exported credit. That's really the meat and potatoes of this case. Idaho Power argues that it's a cost shift. People with solar are shifting more cost to people without solar. People with solar argue that they're providing power when the grid needs it. They're providing power to the grid that's existing, and they're paying their service fee. And they shouldn't be paying for, a different rate for power than they would pay. They shouldn't be given a different rate for power as credit than what they would pay had they bought that power. Back to the reading. The parties have presented differing sets of proposals related to the company's application, including, among other things, proposals for the measurement interval applied for measuring energy, the valuation of the export credit rate, and various administrative items related to the implementation of an avoided cost-based ECR. In this order, the Commission has striven to accurately assign the appropriate share of fixed costs and unquantified benefits of on-site customer generation, and to provide a reasonable balance between the interest of customers with on-site generation and customers without. The Commission does not make these decisions lightly, and the Commission recognizes that this order does not put to rest the issues of on-site generation in Idaho. Well, that's good. A summary of decisions. Here we go. The Commission approves the company's application to implement a real-time net billing ECR in accordance with the application as modified by the company's revised proposal and the provisions of this order. I'm going to stop there for a second. The revised proposal was interesting. Idaho Power started the case, comments were made, hearings were had, then they issued a revised proposal. And so now the Commission is approving a revised proposal. The export credit rate shall be seasonal and time variant with avoided cost-based value considerations. The ECR summer season shall begin shall be June 1st, I'm writing this down, through September 30th, and align with the summer season in the company's general rate case, GCR case number IPC-E-23-11. The ECR summer on-peak hours shall be 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Interesting. Monday through Saturday, excluding holidays during the summer season. Any future updates to the summer season or the hours of highest risk shall be considered in a separate docket or in a GRC filing as appropriate. The avoided energy value of the ECR shall be determined using 12 months of energy imbalance market, EIM, load aggregation point, ELAP, market prices ending December 31st, weighted for historical customer generator exports, and the avoided energy value shall be distributed in alignment with the summer and non-summer seasons. For avoided generation capacity, the ECR shall use a 5-year rolling average of the effective load carrying capacity, ELCC, to determine the avoided capacity value and the most current levelized capacity cost for the least cost dispatchable resource from the 2023 IRP. The ERC shall include customer generation exports for all hours in the calendar year in the calculation of the rolling average ELCC, and shall account for line losses for capacity by applying the line loss gross up after the ELCC and avoided capacity values are determined. I'll stop for a second. If all that sounds like French to you, I kind of understand what they're saying, but I have to dive into, in a future video, what these definitions and acronyms, ELCC and EIM and ELAP, what they all mean, and try to explain that in layman's terms so that you understand it, because that's not done here. With respect, going back to reading, with respect to avoided, and page 6, with respect to avoided transmission and distribution capacity, the Commission approves the proposed project deferral analysis with a 20-year project-specific review. With respect to avoided line losses, the ECR calculation shall apply the annual energy line losses to the energy value, apply the peak hour line losses on the on-peak hours, and apply the annual energy line losses to all other hours of the capacity value. At this time, the ECR shall not include any adjustments for environmental costs or fuel cost risk. Going on to page 7 of order number 36048. The company is authorized to use the integration rates from the 2020 Variable Energy Resource VER study as proposed and shall file an update to Schedule 87 rates and integration cost from the 2020 VER study for commission approval. The company is directed to complete an updated integration study as soon as possible and to file the updated study for commission approval and inclusion for future ECR updates. At this time, the eligibility cap for Schedule 6 and Schedule 8 shall remain unchanged. The eligibility cap for Schedule 84 customers shall be the greater of 100 kilowatts or 100% of demand. The company is directed to include additional proposed interconnection requirements in Schedule 68, concurrent with the effective date of real-time net billing. The company shall exclude energy storage and only include the nameplate capacity of generation for purposes of the eligibility cap. And the company shall meet with staff and interested parties on the feasibility of implementing a surcharge to recover ongoing costs of system upgrades. The company shall submit its findings to the Commission within 90 days of this order. The company shall update all proposed components of the ECR except the season and hours of highest risk in the annual filing between April 1st, 2025. ECR expenditures shall be recovered as a NPSE subject to 100% recovery through the PCA. With respect to the use and transferability of accumulated financial credits, non-legacy customers shall be allowed to transfer financial credits to other accounts held in their name for their own usage, and financial credits may be applied to all billing components. Accumulated financial credits may be transferred when the customer relocates within the company's service area. At this time, no time limit will be set for such a transfer. If a customer completely discontinues service with the company, any accumulated unused financial credits shall be paid out to the customer. That's good news. On December 31st, 2024, all accumulated kilowatt-hour credits for non-legacy systems shall be converted to financial credits using a blended average retail energy rate. The company shall submit a compliance filings with Schedules 6, 8, 68, and 84 conforming with this order. So some good news there, I guess, not stopping reading for a second. If you move out of state, you get to cash out your credits. Good news. Going back to reading, page 7B, measurement interval. This was an important part of this case. Go back to reading. The company recommended that the Commission implement a real-time measurement interval. Company comments at 12. Boise City noted that an hourly measurement interval should be considered for consistency with Clean Energy Your Way, CEYW, construction. Boise City comments at 6-7. Staff considered both a real-time and hourly netting interval, and based on its analysis, staff believe that a real-time measurement interval was more accurate, more understandable, and more malleable than a net hourly interval. Staff comments at 12. After considering the options presented, the Commission believes that a real-time netting interval provides the most accurate value for the ECR calculation. While some raise concerns about how understandable real-time calculation may be for customers, the accuracy provided by a real-time measurement interval using the company's automated metering infrastructure is reasonable. In addition, the Commission believes that customer generators will have access through their My Account information on the company's website to data accounting for their imports and exports for their meter. Pause. That's really bad news. Monthly billing makes a lot of sense. It's easy to understand. Real-time billing, not easy to understand, and it's going to have to be a separate video that we break down how that actually works for the average consumer, even if you don't have solar. And so I'm unclear if there's another case for changing the entire rate structure of the average customer, non-solar customer, on-site generator. And we'll have to see if they use real-time billing for that. For this to be non-discriminatory, in my opinion, they need to have all customers across the residential market use the same billing interval. Back to reading, we're on page 8. C, ECR rate design. Staff recommended that the company align the summer seasons of the ECR to match the summer season of June 1st to September 30th, presented in the concurrent GRC. Staff comments at 16. Staff believed that a misalignment of the summer season for all schedules in the GRC and the ECR summer season would cause customer confusion. I'm confused just reading it. The company agreed with staff's proposed modifications to the ECR rate design and updated the seasons in the company's revised proposal. Company comments at 16. As part of its comments, IIPA suggested that irrigation and non-irrigation net export energy have substantially different annual shapes and warrant separately calculated export credits. IIPA comments at 2. Staff disagreed with the IIPA's proposal to adopt different ECRs based on export shape, and staff noted that the logic of a separate ECR for each unique export shape would lead to multiple ECRs for each rate class and for each exporting technology type, would reduce transparency, would increase confusion, and could lead to dissatisfaction among customers. Staff reply comments at 3-4. The company also disagreed with IIPA's suggestions, reasoning that the intent of an ECR representative of avoided cost should be applicable to exported energy from customer generators, irrespective of customer class or generation source. Company comments at 17. After considering the options presented, the Commission finds that aligning the summer season for purpose of the ECR with the summer season presented in the GRC is the most reasonable option to provide consistency and understandability to customers. With respect to IIPA's suggestion, the issue of separately calculated export credits by different usage shapes and classes is not the issue before the Commission in this case, and the record in front of the Commission does not support any determination on that issue. Okay, so rate design not decided. D, avoided energy, page 9. Staff agreed with the company's proposed method for valuing avoided energy based on the EIM ELAP pricing. Staff comments at 17. The value of avoided energy would be determined by the hourly prices from the EIM using ELAP pricing. The company would use the 12 months of market data ending December 31st of each year, and the avoided energy component of the ECR would be calculated by multiplying the ELAP hourly price of energy by the total megawatt hours exported by customer generators each hour. However, staff disagreed with the company's proposed method to distribute the value of avoided energy, and staff recommended that the value of avoided energy be allocated between the summer and non-summer seasons, and the definition of summer and non-summer for the ECR be aligned with the summer and non-summer seasons for the corresponding consumptive tariffs proposed in the company's GRC. At 18. IIPA recommended that the company develop a balancing account to track the difference between the energy value paid to customers and the value received from customers and amortize the balance in each ECR update. IIPA comments at 10. Further, IIPA noted that the company expects market prices to decline over time during solar production hours, which means that the export credit rate will also decline over time. IIPA recommended that the company provide notice of this by including tariff language that informs customers of the expected decreases in the net export credit over time. ICL, that's the Idaho Conservation League. So all these acronyms, some of them are groups and organizations. So we have to look them up. The Idaho Conservation League, ICL, strongly opposed IIPA's request for tariff language relying on market predictions because tariffs should present only verifiable, objective information on service offering. ICL reply comments at 7. The company was not opposed to IIPA's proposal to create a balancing account to track the differences in historical and average market prices. However, the company believed that such a mechanism would create an additional layer of complexity that the Commission might not wish to adopt. Company comments at 22. Still on page 9. After considering the options presented, the Commission finds that the company's proposed method for valuing avoided energy under the revised proposal is reasonable. Currently, the Commission does not believe that a balancing account is necessary as the trailing 12-month market data provides self-correcting, albeit with some lag, With respect to tariff language, now page 10, the Commission does not believe it is warranted to require language regarding potential effects of future market prices. Okay, a lot's being said here, but we really just have to kind of go to the end. We're so close. Well, not really. We're like halfway through. I'm gonna kind of go to it just keeps getting more complicated with all the findings. So we've done 10 pages, 9 pages. I'm gonna skip to the order and just kind of give my thoughts. So it's 20 pages total. Order. It is hereby ordered that the company's application as modified by the company's revised proposal and the provisions of this order is approved. So now I have to go back and read the revised proposal because it differs from the initial proposal, and it differs from what was published by the Idaho Statesman and other media outlets as to what was changing and how it might change. It is further ordered that the company shall submit a compliance filing with Schedules 6, 8, 68, and 84 conforming with this order. It is further ordered that Vote Solar's petition for intervener funding is granted in the amount of $8,880. This is a final order. Any person interested in this order may petition for reconsideration within 21 days of the service date upon this order regarding any matter in this order. Within 7 days after any person has petitioned for reconsideration, any other person may cross-petition for reconsideration, Idaho Code 61-626, done by order of the Idaho Public Utilities Commission at Boise, Idaho, this 29th day of December 2023. Eric Anderson, President, John R. Hammond, Jr., Commissioner, Edward Lodge, Commissioner. End of document. So net metering is changing. That's what you need to know. It's going to go by Idaho Power study, the voter study that they issued in a previous case. And essentially, the rate's going to be cut in half. It's going to be cut in half for most of the year. Certain hours during summertime, power will be worth more. Again, have to go back and see in their initial proposal. Again, it was like 4.9 cents per kilowatt hour for off-peak, and during peak times in summer, it was almost 20 cents, or it was 20 cents. So I think they amended that. I read the company's revised proposal and believe they dropped that number. And they're probably going to drop that number every year, or try to. So now we have to just understand, all of the acronyms and ways that they're calculating, new export credit rates every year to create value, to understand the value created by solar systems. So if you have a 7 or a 10 kilowatt hour solar system, how much power is it going to make every hour and every day? How much is that power going to be worth if you export it to the grid versus how much money you're going to save if you use it? And the billing interval is now instantaneous to be more accurate, but far more complicated. So in general, if you're buying a system in Idaho, my opinion is that you should just have a system that can operate off-grid. You should have a system that you can store power in your home and use it in a battery. You can push power to the grid when power is worth more, when it's peak times, so that you can get extra credit when you need it to help carry you through night and winter. So if you have an inversion and you have solar and a battery, you still will need the grid. So my advice is, if you have a grid-tied connection, if your house is on the grid now and you want to go solar to save money, you still probably can save money if the installer is quality, and so your system doesn't have issues, and you're not paying huge third parties, sales commissions, companies in other states and their executive teams. If you get a construction job done to install a solar system on your home with a battery, I believe it still will be cost effective and save you money. And I hope to prove that in future videos. So again, this is my New Year's Day. I'm going to read through this again without reading out loud, and hang out with my family a little bit. And I'll try to make a video every day on this and other topics, and helping people find value in solar, creating fun solar stuff, and also helping people find companies for service if they need it, or installations if they need it, and also reviewing the best products that I can find out there. So we're almost at 40 minutes, so it hasn't been that long, I don't think, but I'm going to end the stream now. And thank you all for watching. Hopefully this wasn't so boring, but if nothing else, this is documenting that I have read the final order in the case for export credit rate. I doubt there are many people who would help you get a solar system who have read this order. You can ask them what it says if you watch this video. So thank you so much, and wishing everyone a happy new year in 2024. May it be the best year ever. Bye-bye.